Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from I'm Just a Pickle from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and it says, Am I the arsehole here for telling my dad to never contact me again after he chose his wife's mum over me? Hi everyone. I, 17 female, am only really posting this since my dad's family and even my mum are telling me that I'm in the wrong. My parents got divorced when I was 12 and they had 50-50 custody, so I would stay with my dad for a week, then my mum. When I was 14, my dad got married to my stepmom. I refer to her as his wife, and I would only see them on the weekends until they moved, and I only saw them whenever they visited. My mum got full custody. Anyways, last month, they moved back to our city and got a 2-bedroom house. My dad had promised me the room before he moved back and told me he could do 50-50 again if me and my mum were okay with it. And we were. I was so excited and even picked out furniture and bought stuff to decorate it. Anyways, they move into the house and invite me. They give me a tour and show me my room. I asked when I could start putting things in it. And that's when they told me that they were actually going to give the room to his wife's mum. And since I was going away to college soon, it wasn't like I was going to use the room much. They also told me that instead of staying the full week, that I can go on weekends and sleep on their couch if I wanted to. I said no to that and texted my mum to pick me up. It's been a month and I ghosted my dad fully. He came to try and talk to me, but I was at school. He's been contacting my mum too, which he hates doing. So I just decided that I didn't want to be in his life anymore or have him in mine, even though I barely did. I talked to my mum, and for someone who hates my dad, she told me that I should just talk to him and spend time with him since I barely got to for 2 years. I just decided to cut him off. It sounds impulsive, I know, but I sent him a long message detailing how emotionally neglected and unwanted he made me feel and to never contact me again. I blocked him and blocked his side of the family. In the morning, my mum woke me up at 5 a.m. and asked what I did. Almost my dad's entire family had been blowing up her phone, asking what she said/did that made me want to cut off my dad. During school, I even got a few messages from my cousins on Insta that I forgot to block insulting me. My mum showed me some of the messages and some are insulting both of us. My dad even sent a message apologizing to me and said I broke his heart. His wife is sending disgusting messages towards my mum. I feel awful because I didn't expect them to attack not only me, but my mum. Harshly at that. I feel like I messed up and want to know if what I did was the right thing. Small update. My mum talked to my dad and set up a time to talk tomorrow after school. My mum's making me talk to him and reconcile, but I really don't want to. I'm trying to convince her not to force me to go, but she's threatening to take away my phone and laptop that I need for school and other things. I'll update you guys tomorrow. Absolutely not the arsehole. Your dad in this, he made a promise to you about the room. He let you, build your hopes up, get excited, you plan for it, and then completely took that away from you. And his somewhat solution in this is having you sleep on the couch. How the fuck does he expect that to make you feel? And as we always see in these situations, other family members putting their bloody nose in with deflection tactics, telling you that you're in the wrong rather than looking at why you're actually hurt in the first place. And the absolute cheek and manipulation of him sending you a message saying that you broke his heart, when he's the one who broke his promise in this. Currently side-eyeing your mum's solution to this as well. You're 17 now and she's forcing reconciliation, punishing you if you don't go to do it. But Present Duck says to this one, unblock him temporarily to let him know that his family and wife harassing you and your mum is exactly what you want. No contact with any of them. He continues to take no accountability for his own actions and blame you and your mum instead. Tell him your mum is against your decision, but his family's attack has reassured you that you made the right decision. I would even send screenshots of messages, ask him to call off his family and nasty wife. That for now that you stand by your decision and that maybe in the future you will change your mind, but if it continues, it will only drive you further from him. At that point, you can either leave him unblocked to get a response or reblock. Sparking Girl says, "This is not okay. You're not the arsehole. Your dad took away your room to give to his wife's mother and then said you can sleep on the couch. What the fuck? How often does her mum visit? He barely saw you or made any effort. Why keep emotionally damaging yourself?" I tell his family, well, he chose his wife over me years ago. I guess I shouldn't be surprised he chose her mother over me too. I decided I don't deserve to be treated as an old sweater, only useful when he needs me. Opie says, yeah, exactly. Also from my knowledge, not much. Her mum is wild and goes to Vegas a lot. Basically lives there, and she's rarely home in her own house now. So, she won't be in the room much either, unless she's back in town, which probably a lot as she won't need to pay bills. Thank you so much. So, OP comes in with her update and says, "Hi guys, right now I'm at a friend's house and going to stay the night. If you guys saw the small update I did on my last post, my mum was making me see my dad in person today to try and reconcile. She was threatening to take away things I need and use like my phone, so I had to go. After school she picked me up and we drove to his house. I made sure to try and mentally prepare what I wanted to say/do. I really didn't want to talk to him, but since I was forced, I decided to take some advice from my last post and basically just talk about times I felt neglected and why I wanted to cut him off, including the harassment from his family. When I got there, I thought it was just going to be him, me and my mum, but I was wrong. My mum came inside with me, but my dad told me to sit in the dining room and wait. They stayed talking at the door and I went to the dining room. My dad's wife, who I'll just call Becca, since it's close to her name, and her mum was sitting there. They told me to sit down while we wait for my dad. These women looked so angry at me and I felt uncomfortable. I sat and was on my phone and I could just feel and see them staring. I wanted to get up and leave, but my dad eventually came and sat down. He told me that we needed to talk, but I asked him where my mum was and he said that she left. I asked why and he ignored me. Then he started talking about how sorry he was for what I felt, but that Becca's mum wanted the room and she already broke her lease from her apartment and was thinking of quitting her job. Guys, this lady is 53 and acts like she's my age. She's gotten fired from all her jobs or quit because they were hard. For everyone thinking of a small, frail old lady, you're wrong. Picture someone who loves Vegas, drinking and partying. There you go. I was mad. They all took turns talking and basically said words that mean, "We're sorry if you're upset, but you're dramatic and you being dramatic affects us, so we'll give you a bunch of excuses and make you seem like the bad guy." I just wanted to leave, so I said something like, "This isn't just because of the room, it's the promises that were broken and how you treat me." I gave examples of things he's done that hurt me, including the harassment, and when I mentioned it, Becca snorted and rolled her eyes at me and told me that I'm being dramatic with the word harassment and it was towards my mum and not me. Me and Becca got into an argument, but it was more like me going, "Okay, sure, but you still did this," and her excusing it and raising her voice. I decided to end that and just tell them that I'm not going to reconcile with them. If I have to talk to them in the future, I will only if necessary, but for now, I don't want to build a relationship since we haven't had one in years. When I asked when my mum was coming back, they told me she wasn't until Monday. This is when I got really upset and went outside. I didn't want to be inside or around them anymore, and I called and texted my mum for an hour straight. I even walked to a small plaza nearby just so I could be away from them. My mum didn't answer and it was getting late. I didn't want to involve my friends or anything, but it seemed like the only choice, so I asked one of my friends if she could come and pick me up and if I can stay with her. She said yes, and now I'm at her house. She's doing homework right now, so I'm just in her living room watching TV waiting for her to be done. Her mum told me I can stay the whole weekend if I'm okay with going to church on Sunday and can borrow my friend's clothes. I texted my mum and let her know I'm staying with a friend and still haven't heard back from her. I think she turned her phone off. Honestly, I want to cry out of anger. I'm so confused as to what happened. I'm mad, very mad, but also very numb. I don't know what this means. I left my mum voicemails crying, asking why she left and wasn't picking up and venting to her, so I guess maybe I feel numb because of that. Who knows? I'll try to give you guys an update, but who knows what that will be. Comments on this one says, "This is such a depressing update. I didn't expect your mother to abandon you like this, but at least you have your friends. Can you maybe stay with them for a while?" Sapphire Tiger Scale says, "OP, not saying to leave your friend's house, but If either of your parents report you as a runaway, it can get your friend and their parents in trouble. Big legal jail time trouble. I helped a runaway friend whose parents were forcing him into drugs and beating him, but it wasn't them that got into trouble. It was me for keeping him safe. If you're in the US, please call the non-emergency police number for your city and say you're reporting your whereabouts after a fight in a bad communication with your parents. Tell them that you did not feel safe in your dad's household and tried to contact your mum but couldn't, so you went to a place to feel safe. That way, if your dad calls you in as a runaway, your friend and their parents will be a little protected. Mum Loved Coffee says your mum just left you to be attacked by your dad's wife and a mooch mother. I just cannot fathom doing that to my daughter. I also cannot fathom being your parent and watching my significant other tell my child they're being dramatic because they're tired of broken promises. I can imagine you didn't feel safe and needed to get away. I'm glad you're staying at your friend's house. Your dad isn't worth your time because of his wife. Just let them be. I would imagine that your parents are trying to cut down on his support by getting you sometimes. I.e. your dad pays less and your mum gets a break while you stay with your dad. If your dad wants to see you, tell him teenage girls need privacy. You can either kick mooching mother-in-law to the curb or get a bigger house, apartment, or condo. In the comments, Vuck A says, you got sat in front of a firing squad. The mum needs a damn good reason for a response, otherwise their relationship is going to be forever strained. Another commenter says, your mum leaving you there was wrong. She should have protected you, not forced you to stay in a bad situation. You didn't deserve that. Absolutely awful situation, and OP's 17 now. It ain't long till they're going to be making their own decisions, and legally too, so I think, the parents are going to be regretful of their choices in the very near future. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I Overreacting subreddit, and it says, am I overreacting? My boyfriend's girl best friend is way too flirty, and I don't know how to deal with it. Hey Reddit, I, 21 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 24 male, for about 8 months now, and overall things have been really great. He's kind, supportive, and we have a good time together. But there's one issue that's been bothering me more and more. His girl best friend. Let's call her Emily. They've been friends for years, long before I came into the picture. And I've tried to be cool about their friendship. I really did. I know it's possible for guys and girls to be friends, and I don't want to be that insecure girlfriend who tells him he can or who he can't hang out with. But Emily flirts with him like a lot. She'll make comments about how hot he looks when we're all hanging out. She constantly finds reasons to touch him, like fixing his hair, poking him playfully, leaning on him when she laughs. One time at a party, she sat on his lap like it was the most normal thing in the world. I was literally right there. I brought it up to him gently, just saying I kind of feel uncomfortable with some of the stuff she does, and he brushed it off as her, just being like that with everyone. But I've seen her around other guys. It's not the same. What really messed with my head was when she told him, jokingly, that she would have dated him if they ever got the timing right, and he just laughed it off. I didn't know whether to cry or scream. I don't want to be controlling, and I don't want to give him an ultimatum, but I also don't want to keep pretending I'm okay with this dynamic when I'm really not. So, am I overreacting? Is this worth having a serious convo about again? Has anyone been in a similar situation? I just feel stuck between wanting to trust him and not wanting to ignore my gut. Any advice would seriously help. So, obviously, the top comment says, not overreacting. In fact, you're underreacting. Why are you with this guy that allows this to happen? He clearly likes the attention and won't take your concerns seriously. That's obviously flirting. I've been in a similar situation, and he ended up dating her after I broke up with him. There was clearly something between them. Imagine if you did that with one of your male friends. How would he react? My guess is he'd probably be pissed, which should tell you something. He knows it's wrong but doesn't care. Opie says it's all so confusing. He's been such a wonderful guy besides this. And Opie also adds, so I've read through the comments and I'm going to have a final conversation with my soon-to-be ex, and hopefully it'll be a peaceful one. I'll update you all after it. Nah, absolutely, like that comment said, not overreacting in this situation, and I would certainly feel the same way as you in this. hot comments if we got the timing right. But the issue isn't just about her behavior as well, it's also about your boyfriend's behavior. Brushing it off as she's just like that. It's either saying, he's really conflict avoidant, or he's enjoying the attention, like that commenter said. Either way, it's not great. And it's not about being controlling, it's about having boundaries in place. We talk about this time and time again. But OP does come in with an update and says, "Hey everyone, just wanted to post a quick update since you guys were kind enough to share advice and validate how I was feeling. I ended up having another conversation with my now ex-boyfriend a couple of weeks ago. I explained again, calmly and clearly, how uncomfortable Emily's behavior made me feel. I even gave specific examples like her sitting on his lap, the way she always has her hands on him, the 'we could have dated' comment, etc. I told him I wasn't trying to be controlling, but that it was starting to feel disrespectful to our relationship, and I needed him to understand where I was coming from. He still brushed it off, said again that's just how she is, and that I was reading too much into it. No ownership, no acknowledgement, no willingness to set any kind of boundary. That's when it clicked for me. I realized I was trying way too hard to explain basic respect in a relationship. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I do think he was more afraid of upsetting Emily than he was of losing me. And that was enough of an answer. So I broke up with him. It wasn't dramatic, just sad. I told him I deserved to be with someone who takes my feelings seriously and who wouldn't make me feel like a third wheel in my own relationship. Since then, I felt a weird mix of relief and grief, but mostly peace. I trusted my gut. I chose myself, and I know I made the right decision. Thank you to everyone who helped me feel less crazy in that original post. Seriously, it meant more than I can say." Holy crap. Hope he absolutely just shut that shit down immediately. There was like, nope, not dealing with that, I'm out kind of thing. And I get how they're feeling. They're a weird mix of everything at the moment, and I think it will only get better for OP in time. Sure, it's sad right now, someone that you've been with for a certain amount of time, possibly thinking about future plans with that person for it to suddenly end. But, it opens up to a whole load of other paths at the same time, and OP sticking to their boundaries is always going to be a good thing in my opinion. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is coming from our very own subreddit from Houdin Wolf Spirit or Houdin Wolf Spirit. Apologies about that. It's a nightmare neighbor story, and we have to give you a couple of trigger warnings. It's in the title, by the way. There's domestic violence, arson, and accidental self-deletion. Ooh. Accidental death, by the way. It just says a nightmare neighbor story. Hello Waffle Gang, first time poster here. I saw the Nightmare Neighbors video today and thought I'd share a sordid tale about an old neighbor who eventually met a rather grim end elsewhere. Just a heads up, this story involves domestic violence, arson, and accidental self-deletion. I'm in my 40s and live in a rural coastal village in Northern Ireland. Honestly, I've been really lucky. Most of the neighbors I've had have been absolutely lovely people. However, the family that owned the house next door before I was born were, according to my parents, complete nightmares. My mum always said the wife was alright, but the husband was another story. Some of the things he did included emptying dirty dishwasher out of the window directly onto my dad, building a large garage extension that encroached onto our family's land, constantly shouted verbal abuse, making as much noise as humanly possible. And not just normal noise, but things like cranking the stereo to maximum volume, revving car engines late into the night, loud and violent arguments, etc. Calling the police on workmen simply because they momentarily placed a hammer down on his property or repairing a storeroom roof next door. Basically, if there's a list of nightmare neighbor behaviors, they ticked nearly every box. My parents were practically ready to throw a party the day they finally moved out. The next family to live there were actually lovely, though their story ended tragically as well, but that's a whole other tale. Anyway, fast forward many years to just a few years ago. The same nightmare husband, now living elsewhere, ended up making the news. After an argument with his wife and daughter-in-law, He locked them inside the house, poured petrol or gas for the Americans through the letterbox, and set it alight, intending to burn the house down with them inside. This all happened in broad daylight, and thankfully neighbors witnessed it and managed to get the women out. However, in the process of carrying out his attack, the man had spilled petrol all over himself. When he lit the match, he accidentally set himself on fire too. He was taken to the hospital but later died from his injuries. His wife and daughter-in-law suffered burns, some of them quite severe, but thankfully their injuries weren't life-threatening. Gee bloody whiz, I'm just really glad that neighbors intervened to save the women in this story. Just incredibly sad that they were injured in the process of this at the same time. I always find it strange reading the comments on YouTube after I post Nightmare Neighbors stories. You know, some people are absolutely like, whoa, does this kind of thing happen? Other people just disbelieving of some of the stories. And I can never prove either way what happens, but I can certainly relate to a lot of these stories, which I always find really scary and worrying at the same time. I know of a story, I saw the outcome of a daughter coming home, trying to set a house on fire with a mum in it. I mean, the roof of the flats was literally ablaze. You could see the fire going into the sky. It was something else. I've never seen anything quite like that in terms of fire. They all got out safely somehow. The son, who was in the house at the time, was the one that pushed me over and cracked my head once. But the daughter, and I don't know the full backstory, was, you know, had some severe mental issues. And there's more to that family, and it gets really dark there. Maybe that's for another time, but it's one of those strange situations. Whenever I talk about, you know, stories from around the area, and I've said this before, but it's always like kind of shocking for me because I guess that was my normal at the time. You know, I'm kind of realizing as I get older, it's not the normal neighborhood stuff that goes on. But I don't want to put the neighborhood down at the same time because I loved where I grew up. There was a lot of love for one another there as well. It was like coastal town stories about how there was a close community, but a lot going on at the same time. But yeah, I'm waffling on as usual. Thank you so much for sharing your story, by the way. It's really always appreciated. And if you have your own stories to share, don't forget you can share them on r/Mark Narrations over there. Always love to see them. Get involved. What's going on around you? It's fascinating, isn't it? There's billions of people in the world, all with their own stories. I just find that mind-blowing. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.